Prosecution, would you like to call your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call Dr. Max Payne.
Can't help but laugh.
Dr. Payne, can you tell the court a little about yourself?
My name is Max Payne, and I am the owner and main pediatrician at the Payne Clinic in Robbinsville, New Justice.
Why did you move to New Justice?
I moved to it due to a malpractice case. What had happened was, due to the mounting debt of the clinic that I was working at and the stress toll that it was putting on me, I misdiagnosed a child. It was then that I realized that I take full responsibility for that incident, and I realized that the pain that I felt for accidentally diagnosing a child and the emotional toll that it put on me, I decided to move to Robbinsville, where, since it was a smaller town, I would be able to properly diagnose and take more time to care for each individual patient.
What happened when Sam Oddington came to your clinic?
Well, Sam Oddington came to me with Abby Oddington, and I diagnosed her, and her symptoms showed that she had the signs of a bad cold. It was then that I told him to keep her hydrated and give her plenty of rest, and to return if her symptoms worsened.
What is Tussinex exactly?
Tussinex is a narcotic cough suppressant that has hydrocodone in it. Hydrocodone is a very dangerous substance to someone that is not prescribed for.
What do you think of the allegations that you told Mr. Oddington to continue using this medicine?
I found those allegations outrageous, because anyone with any amount of medical knowledge would know that hydrocodone is extremely dangerous to a child of that age.
Objection. Why would the defendant have any medical knowledge?
Dr. Max Payne is a doctor, and he is, obviously he is a doctor, and he does know what Tussinex is.
Okay.
Clearly.
Overruled. Continue.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness to show Exhibit 13.
You may.
I'm showing opposing counsel the exhibit. Could you identify this for the court, Dr. Payne?
This is the patient intake form for Abby Oddington.
Is this the one from your clinic or the one that was in Mr. Oddington's personal possession?
This is one that was in Sam Oddington's possession.
Could you find the section that requires the guardian or patient to list any prescribed and or over-the-counter medications being taken? What does it say?
It says nothing. It is completely blank.
Is it possible for you to have altered this in any way?
That would be impossible, considering this patient intake form has been in Sam Oddington's possession the entire time.
What do you think? I would like to admit Exhibit 13 in evidence.
Any objections?
What do you think of the claims of Dr. Pat Evanstein that you misdiagnosed Abby?
I find those allegations very offensive. At the time that Abby was brought to me, her symptoms showed that she had more of a bad cold than pneumonia. And for the time, and what?
What would you recommend to someone whose symptoms look more like a cold but could possibly progress to pneumonia at a later time?
What I would have, what I did was I told...
Objection. Leading.
I don't believe so. Overruled.
Would you like me to restate that?
Yes.
What would you recommend to a patient who looks as if they have a bad cold that could possibly progress into pneumonia.
Considering the early signs of a bad cold and pneumonia are almost exactly the same, I would have told them to, as I told Sam Oddington, to take Abby home and give her lots of hydration and lots of rest, and to return if necessary if the symptoms worsened, because I would not give someone the prescription for to treat pneumonia if I did not 100% feel that they had it.
How did your former employee, Sean Paget, come to be fired from your clinic?
Well, when I first hired Sean, he was young, fresh out of medical school, and extremely arrogant. My clinic opens at 8 a.m., but I like to get there at 6 so I can prepare, so I can be ready to go when the day starts. It was close to 8 a.m. when I was walking past the break room and I heard two of my colleagues discussing Sean Paget. And I stopped in and I asked them what they were talking about with Sean, and they informed me that Sean has been late multiple times to work. It was then that I realized that it was past 8 o'clock at the time and Sean was still not at work. It was about 8:15 when Sean showed up to work, and obviously he was late. At that time, I yelled at him to find the Sam Oddington file because our insurance manager needed it to put it into our records.
Is there anything else you would like to say to the court, Dr. Bain?
I would like to state that in this case it is completely Sam Oddington's fault, and because the patient intake form that was in Sam Oddington's possession has shown that there is nothing written in the prescription box, and that builds on the foundation that that's it.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Defense, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Give him pain.
You misdiagnosed a 5-year-old patient in Michigan, is that correct?
Yes.
You said you never noticed that your employee, Sean Paget, was late. Is that correct?
Yes.
You also claim you have lost your temper and screamed at this employee.
Objection, Your Honor. What is the relevance of this line of questioning?
It is that, going to his character. That's it, yeah.
Whose character?
The Dr. Payne's.
How so?
Saying that he is not a competent doctor if he continually loses his temper and screams at employees and misdiagnoses children.
I do not believe that yelling at a patient or an employee one time qualifies as continually losing one's temper.
I'm going to allow the questions, assuming you get to your point quickly here. And if you want to clarify on redirect, that'll be fine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You restate the question.
You claim to have lost your temper and you yelled at this employee, correct?
In the medical field, we take everything very seriously, and one of those is showing up on time for work and doing your job properly. Sean was doing neither of those things, considering he showed up to work 15 minutes late and lost one of the papers on the Sam Oddington file.
Was it not later found in his files, right where it was supposed to be?
know, considering one of the pages was lost by him and is still lost.
No further questions.
Redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Payne, how many times have you ever yelled at an employee in your memory?
This has to be the first time, considering all of my other employees always show up for work on time and always take their jobs very seriously and do them properly.
How busy are you in the mornings when you arrive?
I am quite busy considering the number of patients we have. I have to properly organize and prepare myself for the long day that will come.
Do you think it's possible to keep tabs on every single employee of yours and when they arrive to work every day?
For the most part, yes. I can keep track of what they do at work, but I can't always know when they show up for work.
No further questions.
Redirect, recross?
Yes, Your Honor. You said that Dr. Paget lost a file and it's still missing, correct?
Yes.
What file?
The prescription form that I would have written a prescription on if I had given Sam one, which I didn't.
How is that file lost if there isn't one?
There was a file, but it was missing. And looking at the intake forms that Sam Oddington has, it shows that there is a third page that was on the form.
I thought you just said that there was no other.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness has already answered this line of questioning.
Quite frankly, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So clearly there's some confusion here over what documents we're talking about, what you're talking about, what you're talking about. No, neither of you is on the right page here. So if we're to use this and I don't know, something needs to happen here so we know what we're talking about. Yes, sir. No, I'm gonna let this go because we'll talk about this afterwards and what we need to do to prevent this from happening in the future. All right. Was that it then?
I have one more question.
Okay, go ahead.
You said that you can keep track on your employees when they're at work, but you can't always know what they're doing because you're too busy in the mornings, correct?
Yes, I can keep track on what they're doing, as in what patients they're tending to and what they're supposed to be doing. What I can't keep track of is if someone loses a single paper in literally stacks of paper that they work on in the entire day.
But you said you can't always tell when they show up to work, correct? Because
No.
I thought you just said that you can't always tell when they show up to work, when they're late.
I must have heard the question wrong. I was trying to say that they do. I can't always keep track of when they show up.
No further questions.
You may be seated. You're done.